Hi, it's Ed in San Diego, and welcome back to Global Business News TV talk show. This is San Diego. Behind me, looking at the Embarcadero, which is the buildings face west, and that's San Diego Harbor and the ocean. And I live to the right of that clipper ship that's all lit up in the middle on the bottom. Um, My home is around the corner uh, to the far right. You cannot see it right now. Anyway, we're going to be joined by James Moss. James is a Brit, now in New York, and actually just got back from an extended trip in London and Dubai, back to London, and now back in New York City. And we're going to be talking about his trip. It was all to do with business development and connections. Developing international business relationships is a very important part of our world, and this is fitting right into that. So we'll be right back with James Moss. Stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be joined by James in just a minute. Hello, Joanne.
Ed,
Okay, here comes James. Hello, James.
hey,
Welcome.
how are you?
Welcome. That's great. That's San Diego behind me, and that clipper ship down the middle is the Star of India, uh, and
Okay,
that is the Embarcadero here. Those buildings are facing the
give me
ocean.
one sec. I'm having to put the hearing aids in. I just want to see if they're actually going to improve things. Great to see
Okay,
you again, Ed.
good to see you. We are being recorded right now.
We're alive?
We are.
Oh my goodness.
So you're natural, au natural.
Oh, natural, indeed, indeed.
So, my friend, welcome back to the U.S. You were in Dubai and London, right?
Yeah. Been a busy week last week, and
Good for
yeah,
you.
yeah, quite a leg actually. I mean, jet lag, sort of,
I bet.
perfection.
Yeah, indeed. So,
Um,
do you have a favorite place to stay in Dubai?
Yeah, I do actually. So, a lot of my contacts and clients are around what's known as DIFC, which is the Central Business District there, which is terrific. It's lovely, modern. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's fantastic. It's also incredibly confusing to get around. But no, I stay there. I have a hotel there. There's a major road that runs through Dubai, parallel to the coast, called Sheikh Zayed Road. And it's like, a 12-lane motorway. Um, and everyone just races up and down it like a drag circuit, basically. Um, so what I do is I stay on a hotel sort of on the unfashionable side of that, which is actually on the side of the DIFC. So all I have to do in the morning is get out and go for a stroll up the road about not even 10 minutes away, and I do all my meetings there. And,
Oh, good. So, what does DIFC mean?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that. Something financial center, I don't know,
Oh, okay.
Dubai International Financial Center, something like that.
Yeah. So, let me ask you a question. Are there a lot of English-speaking people in Dubai?
Yes, everywhere, which is great. Dubai, for English speakers, is a really easy place to work and operate in. Um, Almost everyone speaks English, which is great. So yeah, it works. It works really, really well. They're very, from a Brit point of view, Ed, they're very, very friendly. I mean, all their military officer corps and so on, all trained in the UK. The policemen are sort of, sort of Brit model rather than American model. Nothing wrong with the American model, just simply saying that's the way the place evolved. Um, they love the States. You see some very substantial investment going into the States from the, as well as London. Um, London's always been a bit more traditional for these guys, again, because of the original origins. I mean, basically, after the First World War and then the Second World War, when lines were drawn in the desert
Right,
sand, and
right.
that became Iraq, and that became Syria, and that became the UAE, sort of thing. Um, but it's only a 3 hour time difference between London and Dubai, and it's an 8 hour time difference between New York and Dubai. So,
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So tell me about coming back now into Manhattan and what did you bring with you in terms of energy and ideas?
well,
With you don't have to
yeah,
divulge secrets here. We're live on TV.
yeah, no, I won't give any trade secrets away here. Um, it was really insightful. So Curzon does two things, I know you know this, but just to reiterate for the audience here. So we do relocation, mainly international relocation into the States. Our hubs are New York and London. Um, but we also have quite a good global reach, including out to the Middle East and Dubai. So we do corporate types of relocations. We work with a lot of SMEs, technology-driven companies, these sorts of organizations. We also have a very strong private client base, which manifests itself in different ways. We have clients who invest in London. We have clients who invest in the States. Not necessarily just New York. We've done work for Middle Eastern clients out in LA, for example. Um, and we tend to work with private clients who are often conglomerates. They're like the family offices of companies that own energy companies and logistics companies and construction companies and so on. They're pretty international, a lot of these guys. Um, and we tend to sort of help them out across the board. In other words, we will help them out finding homes. So they want to, buy apartments, like the high-end stuff that we used to see in New York a few years ago, with like one at 57, on 57th Street, Central Park Tower, um, the Hedgie Building, Central Park South, Hudson Yards. All these guys know these places, and not infrequently will they purchase a unit or two. Um, so we're connected because we're property guys as well as relocation guys. We sort of help them out with that when it comes up. We also support them with commercial real estate. So we acted for one company who were setting up a luxury ice cream franchise, Ed, in New York and across the states. So we actually acquired premises for them, retail premises, and helped them with the fit out and getting all that organized. So we did that in New York and Long Island City. We also acquired a unit, a much larger unit for them through our contacts in Los Angeles, where they also sort of had like a regional um, depot, if you like, to roll out ice cream and so on. So yeah, so we sort of get involved in some quite interesting and slightly different types of projects.
Sounds fascinating. So Curzon Comments is a dialogue between you and me, just like
Yeah.
the audience has just experienced. This is live and recorded simultaneously for subsequent broadcasts worldwide. using Global Business News TV, which is anchored by YouTube and also anchored by LinkedIn. And between those two, it's really enough. But the management of that is globalbusinessnews.net. And through that connection, Instagram and Facebook and a myriad of other channels. So distribution of this program joins all the others uh, in the network, and it's global free access 365, 24/7, nonstop global free access. I got to say that again. Never a toll gate. We are supported by memberships, advertisers, partners, of in-kind services, without which we would never exist. Since March of 2020, I've been very fortunate to be able to develop and produce and exhibit and distribute more than 1,000 productions. And you've been on many, not a
Oh,
thousand.
I'm a huge fan. I think Global Business News and you, Ed, are terrific. You've been wonderful, great partner for us. Absolutely terrific. And
Well,
you
I
know,
see the
uh,
opportunity to provide a third eye, if you will, a neutral eye on what you're doing. And we've known each other for 20 years anyway, but a matter of being friends is number one. And I see PR angles and things and facility, and then business connections that flow from that, and that has become a business.
well, it's interesting. I mean, your distribution is really great. Um, we get quite a bit of feedback actually from people who see these things. It's relatively new. That's recently that we've been doing Curzon Common. But I was in London, as you know, last week, as well as Dubai, and some really interesting sort of journalist workshops, entrepreneur workshops. Um, and Curzon Commons came up, which was great. I was really slightly surprised.
Good.
And the journalist guy I do quite a bit of work with um, a magazine publication called Business Insider, who are just terrifically good on entrepreneurs, understanding, helping entrepreneurs, reporting on. They have a mentoring program, which is quite interesting. Um, yeah, and Curzon Commons came out and said, "Oh yeah, we've seen you on Curzon Commons, right?" And I said, "We're there." They said, "Oh yeah, fantastic." The other thing to say, Curzon Commons gets posted on Spotify and
Yeah.
gets posted on YouTube. I mean, I know you do that as well. So the coverage between Global Business News, UED, and me and Curzon and what we do, it's really great. It's really great, and I hope the audience enjoy the feedback and the sort of the cross. I'm not sure fertilization is the right word, but the synergy between the two is just great. So
So I'd love to produce a meeting, a live meeting with a hybrid virtual component of based in Dubai someday.
yeah,
So
well,
that would be a goal to do someday.
well, I would think about doing it sooner rather than later. I mean, Dubai is on steroids. I'm not joking. I mean, it is such a business hive of activity. Something about Dubai, some people audience may not know, is now works Monday to Friday. So it's a full Western working. It's been like this for a couple of years. But I used to go over and meet people on Sunday because people used to be working on Sunday, albeit fairly lightly. That doesn't really happen at all anymore. So it's Monday to Friday, regular work week. Um, I still like to get out there on a Sunday because it helps with jet lag.
Yeah, right,
And you
right.
get through that. But yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting where Curzon Commons gets to. Um, but yeah, Dubai is great. It's a great tech hub out there now. I was at Dubai Internet City for a while for a few meetings there, and it's really buzzy, and loads of universities are well established there. So you get this sort of university research, dynamic business hub going there. And the good news is everything runs along the metro line, and they have a great metro system in Dubai. They've had it for years now.
So
Um,
is it all
really good.
automated?
Yeah, it's really great. It's a serious metro system. And it's two lines, a red one and a green one, and they go everywhere. And you literally go from one end to the other. But so you've sort of got the airport at one end. I think the northern end anyway doesn't really matter. And then you go all the way down through Dubai to the other. And most certainly business places are accessible off of that. I had a great meeting with a colleague, a sort of client come friend now, really, at one of the golf courses out there, which was great. I mean, they're all green, they're all lush. And last time I played golf, I'm a terrible golfer, by the way, but
Uh,
the last time I had a hack at it was on a brown course in Dubai in
Brown.
the sand. I mean, it was just sand, right? And I could only get round 3 holes. It's 40 degrees. Um, anyway, it's all changed now. But even that's I think that was like a 15-minute drive from the subway metro.
So do they have indoor golf?
Sorry, do they have?
Indoor golf.
I would imagine so. I mean, they've
Yeah,
got they've got indoor ski centers
everything, right.
in the mall, so I would imagine there's a golf course inside somewhere, some sort.
Yeah, I mean a real golf course, not a fake one with a TV screen that you.
Oh yeah, no,
Uh, uh,
they will have everything. I mean, they're amazing, and the golf course is a sort of lush oasis, uh, OSI maybe, I don't know, but
so
anyway,
I would like to propose that we take Curzon Comments into Dubai. You could be in New York, and for me it's 11-hour time difference to reach somebody there. So it has to be done like my 6 a.m. Uh,
yeah,
or even earlier. So that'll make it you 3 hours later, and they for me will be 11 hours.
yeah.
And
I mean,
for you it's 3 hour. No, from London it's 3 hours.
from London, it's
Yeah,
three. It's an
yeah,
8 hour flight. It's only a 3 hour time difference.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but everyone starts early, works late type of thing. I mean, when you're in that sort of climate, so people are always available out to fit into the peculiar hours. I was going to say the rest of the world. It's not the rest of the world. It's more that their time zone in terms of the United States and the Europe
yeah. And what about
is great.
India?
Well, India is sort of interesting in that it's so close to Dubai, um, and there is a very large and very diverse Indian population in Dubai. I mean, at every level, I would add. And yeah, it's incredibly convenient. So yeah, India. Um, you're in that whole part of the world. Good.
And let me ask you a question about Singapore, Dubai.
Yeah, right.
There's a strong connection there, isn't there?
There is. I mean, you've got the tax neutral element, sort of thread, if you like, that runs through a lot of these places. And there's really strong connections between Dubai and Singapore. A lot of investors in Dubai are very active in Asia and out, and then Singapore is of course a major hub for that. Unless obviously you go into China. So yes, a lot of traffic out to that part of the world into sort of Asia Pacific. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. So tell us about what's happening in Manhattan. You come back in and it's still winter where you are.
Yeah,
Uh, So
is
it's
it?
so people are bundled up, but they're still active, aren't they?
Oh, they're active. I mean, everyone's wrapping up like you would not believe, and just checking the temperature at the moment. It really is cold here, actually. So it's 26 degrees at the moment, so it's warmed
Oh,
up a bit, um, which is great. And
oh
looking
my
at
God.
my little chart here, it says Wednesday is tomorrow. The low is 15 degrees.
Oh my God.
So dog walking in the morning is always fun.
Yeah.
Um, but it's great to be back. The market's ticking along, which is the main thing. Um, Things like rental levels are holding fairly steady at the moment. So we're seeing an average of about $4,000 a month. It's the average in Manhattan. If you take the five boroughs and extrapolate that, you're looking at, I think, about 3,500 a month, 3, 2, depending where you are. I mean, obviously, Brooklyn, certain parts of Brooklyn, like Williamsburg and Dumbo are right up there with Manhattan. But I think we're seeing, so I think we're going to see some really interesting new corporate relocation areas coming up. It's beginning to happen with Queens in particular. And so I think that's going to be one to keep an eye on this year. Uh,
Queens meaning where the new development is on the north side.
yeah, there's quite a lot of new development up there. Depending where you go, it's had a lot of gentrification and so on. The thing we find with international assignees and transferees when they come to New York is they really want the New York experience.
Right.
They want the Manhattan. They want the really smart parts of Brooklyn. And what we're seeing uh, from at least from what we were seeing last year, we haven't really got going this year too much at the moment, but companies seem to be in tune with allowances and stuff like that, which is good. We're seeing more and more lump sum people coming in where they're having to pay their own way. And we're able to give them great options on that, where they're able to save significant costs and still get a great experience, still get a great apartment, and in Manhattan and in Brooklyn, which tend to be the two main places. So yeah, if you're smart and you know your markets, which we do, is what we've been doing for quite a few years now, you can slice and dice, and you can find the right fit for almost everybody.
So do you get involved in Jersey City, right across from Wall Street?
Yeah, a bit. I mean, we're not New Jersey people, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
Um, if we have clients who want to be in New Jersey, then we can arrange that. We have connections and so on, and we can do it. We're mainly prime New York people. That's what we do. That's
Yeah.
the market we know best.
Yeah. Well, that's good to get that message across to the audience out there. So would you like to show a slide or we'll just have more conversation?
I think probably more conversations. I'm sorry to say, I haven't got the slide ready. Like the only thing I can show you, which might sort of be of some interest, is this is sort of what a London itinerary, Dubai itinerary looks like. I don't know if you can see that on your camera.
I see a lot, not clearly, but I see a lot of boxes.
Yeah, well, that's basically it. So
Yeah.
when I'm traveling, I don't use. a computer diary. I gave up on that a long time ago because everything switches and moves around and all the rest of it. So I am a good old Luddite. I go back to pen and paper. And do you know what? It works really, really, really well.
So
And
pen and paper meaning you keep a diary?
yeah, I keep a sort of schedule where I'm going and when I need to be there and so
Right.
on.
So it's
And
it's not on your phone.
yeah, people put appointments on the phone, which is great. And set up invites and all the rest of it. But you're never quite. I mean, certainly in my diary, I run a couple of time zones on the diary. So for me, it's just a lot easier to print the thing out, get the pen out, get the Tipex out to change things.
Yeah.
When things are confirmed, yellow highlights, right, we're locked in there and we're good to go. So,
Okay, I love that. I love that. Okay, so what would you like to chat about for the next few minutes as we approach the end of this Curzon Comments? It's really been an interesting picture, if you will, of your life.
yeah, well,
That's exciting.
yeah, I mean, things happening. I think maybe a little bit about London would be quite a good moment to just update people who are either looking to move there or to leave, actually. So, a couple of things going on in London. Um, in no particular order, if we're looking at the tenant side of life, okay, so people moving to London, there's a whole raft of new legislation going through the books at the moment, a bill which will become law by the spring, which gives tenants a lot more protection from eviction. Also, it limits the amount and the frequency that landlords can raise rents every year. And there are a number of other things that go along with that. The net effect is this, is that it's good news for tenants. I mean, a bit more protection doesn't do any harm, although they are pretty protected already. The bad news is it's likely that more landlords will pull out of the market because their returns are going to be further diluted. There's additional legislation coming in whereby energy efficiency of buildings has to be improved and hit certain levels by target dates. A lot of London properties, it's like a bit like some of the very old New York properties. They're bricks and mortar. They're not very efficient buildings, um, and it's going to cost money to do that, and you can't set that off against your taxes. You can't get it back. So I think one of the things, the unintended consequences of this is that there will be less housing stock for corporate tenants and people wanting to rent rather than more. And I think it's going to be a tougher year to find property. Um, the other thing is that of course rents will go up as landlords try to protect their position and maybe get a bit ahead of the game. Um, so that's one of the things that's going on in London. The other thing that's going on is there's changes, major changes going through uh, for what's known as non-doms, and these are people who live and work in London. They're often high net worth individuals, and they own homes and quite often quite expensive properties. And the deal with the government is that you pay us X thousand a year, 50, 30, 50,000, whatever the number is, and we will not tax you on your overseas investment or income. Now that is being abolished. It's been abolished. It's going to be abolished on the 6th of April this year, which is the UK tax year. It's American tax year is calendar. British is April to April. And there's going to be a transition period of a couple of years to give people a breather to sort themselves out. But what's happening is this is non-doms residents who are non-domiciled are now, many of them are leaving. They're looking to leave because they don't want to fall under a global taxation situation. US citizens already have global taxation. It's the way the US works. So if you're US, it's sort of irrelevant. Um, not mainly it's irrelevant, but if you're not US, it's going to be a huge, huge burden. So what we're seeing is we're seeing a real shift of non-doms looking to move or considering moving, leaving the country. Okay. And what we see is a fantastic buying opportunity for anyone in US dollars, which includes Americans, petrodollars, and the Middle East. And the reason is this, is that if you're not looking to be a resident of the UK, but you want to live in the UK or have somewhere you can go to for up to 90 days of the year or whatever it's going to be, there is a terrific opportunity to buy some really, really great properties at some really low prices. And you're probably thinking, well, what does it mean low prices? Well, these people, non-doms who are moving, are interested in their global wealth profile. So even if they live in, say, a £5 million apartment or house, okay, they just want to get out as quickly as they can. So they will be prepared to take a haircut to get out really quickly. So instead of selling it for five and just plucking numbers out of the air, of course, instead of selling it for five, they might sell it for four or less if contracts can be exchanged and if the deal can be closed by the time that the April the 6th date comes up. And that's incredibly tight. Even if it's after April 6th, they still have this transition period for 3 years. And they can still really mitigate their position during that time as well. So, um, so the point is this: there's going to be some great buying opportunities for some terrific property in prime central London, particularly, which will make great investments. I mean, make excellent long-term investments in terms of capital growth. And I and my team think that there's going to be a really good opportunity for those savvy buyers who want to be in London or like to operate through London. It won't be their main home, but it will be one of their places in the world that they go to. So that,
Fascinating. Wow.
yeah, it's very, very prominent right now.
So let's talk about one of my favorite places is the financial district, Cannery Wharf.
Yes,
Okay. Now,
yes,
HSBC is going to move out of their tower, which
yes.
is a great historic place. And where are they going? They're going into downtown London, right? The city.
Yeah, they're going back to the old city, which, of course, is a super modern city. But yeah, they're going back to the City of London, which is about 12 minutes on the other end of the Jubilee line from Canary Wharf back into the heart, by the Bank of England and Stock
So
Exchange and
are
everything
they
else.
going to build a tower, or are they got their eyes on something already?
I'm not sure. My guess is they've already sorted it out. There are some cracking office buildings in the City of London. I mean, you've got to bear in mind, Ed, that also that there is a collapse of commercial office space going on around the world at the moment, including in London. And a covenant like HSBC is like one of the best, biggest fish in the sea.
Right.
And you are going to want that. You are really going to want that that covenant. So the deal, whatever the property deal that HSBC are going to put together, is going to be phenomenally beneficial to HSBC. It's going to lock in the investment investment value for the commercial landlord. So it's yeah, I think they're going to be the driving seat all the way.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So what's going to happen to the skyscrapers in,
In Canary Wharf, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, the answer is a lot of them are being converted to mixed use. In fact, the HSBC building has a great scheme already drawn up, and it's going to become a green building, so lots of green walls and stuff like that. And it's going to be a combination of a hotel, of residential units, residential apartments. So hotel, residential apartments, some offices, which will almost certainly be sort of community co-working types of spaces. Yeah, and that last time I saw it, that was the plan for that. And by the way, that's happening to loads of office buildings that are of the right size where you can actually do that. Meaning some office buildings like here downtown in Manhattan, the financial district, are too big to convert, and they have these huge like trading floors and stuff like that, and they're really big. So you've got to think that you're building apartments. How do you bring in the natural light? You know, you end up with long, skinny apartments no one's going to buy. So you then have to look at putting in light wells. You then have to look at really completely reconfiguring a building. And you know, it's phenomenally expensive.
Hmm.
So it's really, really tricky. With Canary Wharf own about a third of the estate. Okay, about two-thirds of those buildings are owned by pension funds and venture capital groups and people like that, companies. Um, so Canary Wharf's direct exposure is actually not as great as one would think. But having been in the property business for my whole career, I know what it's like to crunch these numbers, and it's tough. And global supply chains have become more stretched. The cost of materials has become a lot more expensive. Demand is really right down. So it's a really tricky conundrum to navigate to get an end result. And luckily, interest rates are coming down a bit now, so that's going to be a little bit. But it's tough, and it's a long-term investment with big numbers. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes for them. I hope it goes well because Canary Wharf is really a fantastic estate and a great development.
CurzonCentral.com, right?
CurzonCentral.com.
James is the man. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Ed. Have a great day. All the
Ciao.
best.
Thank you.